We are live. Finally, we're live doing Oscar nominations. I'm hoping there's not a delay in anything, but we'll see about that. And just do this. I think that's what we're doing. I can hear me talking there. Let me just get something up here. I'm sorry for all the nonsense. Things were not working out for me today. So, yes. Hey, it is Jim. Yo, how's it going? Grunge Sickness. I haven't seen you in a little bit. And, hold on. Gotta get my actual prediction out. Gotta get my actual predictions. Sort of need those to do that. But while that's loading, hey, people just got off work. Let's actually see my face. Hey, there I am. I think there's a delay, but I really can't wait any longer. So I'm sorry if this doesn't sync up. I think it should, but what are we talking about today? We're talking about Oscar predictions. I'm going to hopefully predict the Oscars. I hope the audio syncs up to my mouth. But anyway, yes, the Oscars are this coming Sunday. It's a shortened Oscar season, and I hate it. I really hate it. It's awful. Whoa, where'd I go? Oh, there I am. It's the worst. It's like the worst thing ever. I really wish they never did that. It's made everything, especially if you're someone like me who wants to try to see everything, it's like, oh, cool. Guess what? I won't do that. Cool. Anyway, so I'm going to basically just go through all the Oscar categories and tell you what I think will win. I will talk about what's nominated and things like that. If you're here just to watch me talk about the animated categories, then this will be at the beginning. If you're watching this later than this live stream, you'll be able to see in time-stamped links in the description, be able to go there and watch those certain categories if you don't want to hear me go through everything. So this will catch you up to speed if you're doing some Oscar office pool, which I've never been in an office that ever does that, probably because I would destroy them and everyone knows it. Anyway, I did win 2 Oscar pools in my life in a row, so I have that going for me. Anyway, Saber, thank you for being here. It was very stressful doing this. Ran Sam, thank you for the first super chat. I have a Red Bull just because I was getting tired. My pick for Best Picture is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or Parasite. Thank you very much, and thank you for the support, Ran Sam Film. Before we get started on the predictions and the animated categories first, I wanted to say that every live stream and my channel entirely pretty much is supported by you, the fans, either through super chats during this live stream or through Patreon. Click on the link below in the description to check out those details. I'm very thankful for your support and you help this channel growing. So let's do the animation categories and go through it. I actually list these off how they do it at the Oscars, because you can't do Best Picture first, duh. You gotta do that last. So I thought, other than, it's basically animation and then I do in the order that the Oscars do it. So, Best Animated Short. This is the only short category I'm going to give a prediction for, because I really don't know enough about the other ones, and I wish they were available online, and I'm glad that, although we can all object to certain things Cartoon Brew does, they recently talked about how on Twitter they talk about how people who make these short films are telling people not to push their short films online, and a lot of short filmmakers are being told that by distributors. That is bullshit, considering that the 2 that are released by studios are available online, and I don't know like what they think. I don't know what they think is going on with that. It's really embarrassing. But so first off, I want to say I'm not for that whatsoever, and I wish these were more available and not just the in-theater thing. I know they do the in-theater thing. You can go do that, find a theater near you, and you can see all the animated shorts in the theater, or documentary, or live action. Documentary usually has less screenings for obvious reasons. But anyway, for Best Animated Short, we have 5 nominees here. Basically, the 3 that everyone's heard of, and then 2 others. So it's Hair Love, Kitbull, Memorable, Sister, and Daughter. I'm not going... Anyway, I haven't seen Sister and Daughter. Interesting, knowing the titles. But we're down to basically 3 nominees, and if we're being real here, it's really between Hair Love and Memorable. Kitbull does not have a chance, as much as everyone might think it does. And as much as I really love Hair Love, if you've seen Memorable, it leaves such a crazy impression. I love Hair Love quite a bit. And Will with the Super Chat has just said, this isn't nominated, but everyone should watch Away, wonderful film. Will, I feel like this is the new film Will's going to try to get me to watch for a while. But anyway, cheers to you all. Thank you for the support. But everything I've read about animated short and who's going to win, everyone says Memorable. And after I saw Memorable, I have to agree. So I'm going to go with Memorable. However, I can see, since Hair Love has more support, has the most celebrities behind it, Issa Rae, Jordan Peele, Peter Ramsey, who directed Spider-Verse, helped produce it as well. I can honestly see Best Animated Short going to Memorable right now. But I think it is between Memorable and Hair Love. But I think Hair Love has the advantage. It's really between those 2. And the 2 that aren't online, you're not going to win, because no one's heard of you. If you ever meet someone who has an animated short that's up for Oscars, tell them just post it online. And the Vimeo one is just kind of someone else posted it. They didn't even post it, so they didn't even get that. All right, so How to Train Your Dragon. No, Best Animated Feature. So this is a tough one, because you could go either way with it, and you can go a lot of ways. But going through the 5 nominees, which is How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World, I Lost My Body, Klaus, Missing Link, and Toy Story 4. The definite one that's not going to win is How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World. Unfortunately, a lot of people thought that had a better chance before, but as this campaign's gone out, not going to win. Missing Link got a lot of momentum from that Golden Globe win, but I really don't think it will either. Then we're down to Klaus, I Lost My Body, and Toy Story 4. You're probably curious, why am I saying I Lost My Body? I've heard so much talk about that from industry blogs and Twitters and stuff like that. You should, by the way, guys, please check out I Lost My Body. It's on Netflix. It's a cool motion picture. I actually think Pan would like it. I don't know if he's seen it or not, but that has sort of a chance. I'd say that's the wild card winner. But we're down to Klaus and Toy Story 4. Now, knowing how many Oscars Pixar has won, that's mostly because Best Animated Feature happened when Pixar was in its prime, and it's kind of hard to compete with like WALL-E and Ratatouille and Incredibles and all these things. So, it's sort of just, they coincided with each other, and most people just look at Pixar or Disney as the animation house. But Klaus is very powerful. It's hugely powerful. It's winning awards all across the board. Much like what happened with Spider-Verse, even though everyone is like, Incredibles 2 is just going to win it. I think what works for Toy Story 4 is it's pretty damn good, but what works against it is its unavailability. Klaus, you can watch anytime. I could watch it right now, and I could put it on in another window and watch it twice if I wanted to. That's weird, but theoretically, I could do that. Toy Story 4 comes out on streaming tomorrow. No, I'm sorry, it comes out Wednesday. Voting for the Academy Awards closes on Tuesday. So unless you bought a Blu-ray, which you probably didn't, watched it on VOD, which they probably didn't either, or actually got a screener of it maybe, but I just think there's so much more talk about Klaus, and this will continue the narrative that Netflix is dominating every Oscar, dominating with animation and doing things that G-Kids couldn't. G-Kids could get a nomination, but they couldn't push it past the finish line. And I think Netflix has taken over in documentary, international film, and animation, and they're really going to push for animation. And frankly, someone needs to do that, because animation that's not just the big studios needs that push. I think it'll be a huge change in the industry if Klaus wins. But it is really between Klaus and Toy Story 4, but I'm saying Klaus. But I'm kind of going through my reasoning because I know people will go, what about this? What about that if I don't mention it? And, I have all this stupid knowledge, so I might as well go through. So, Best Supporting Actress. So, we have 5 nominees in this. Margot Robbie for Bombshell, Florence Pugh for Little Women, Kathy Bates for Richard Jewell, Scarlett Johansson for Jojo Rabbit, and Laura Dern for Marriage Story. Basically, Kathy Bates and Margot Robbie have no chance of winning this, so let's just forget about them. Florence Pugh a little bit because it's her year. If it was up to me, she'd be nominated for Midsommar. She might even win for Midsommar for Best Actress. She's not. Don't know why, because they hate horror, because they think they're better than it, and they're not, because they nominated Bombshell, and they're not better for anything. Sorry I'm talking fast, but I'm already late, and I want to get in here. But basically, we're between Laura Dern and Scarlett Johansson, who are both in Marriage Story, but Scarlett Johansson's for Jojo Rabbit. Laura Dern is for Marriage Story. I think it's pretty much, most of the acting categories are pretty much foregone conclusions. But the only upset I could really see is if Scarlett Johansson won in this category. She's nominated twice for acting for Marriage Story and Best Actress, and in Best Supporting Actress for Jojo Rabbit. I can 100% see that happening, but we'll see what the deal is with that. I'm not sure if that is going to happen or not, but we'll see what's going to happen. So, but I think most likely we've got Laura Dern for the win. So Best Makeup and Hairstyling, which to me aren't those two very different things? Like, why are those the same category? Are they lazy? I mean, I don't know. Anyway, so I know this is the category no one cares about. That's why it's early on in the night or the stream. Makeup and Hairstyling, it's Bombshell, Joker, Judy, Maleficent, gotten here, and 1917. I think if 1917 wins in this, you pretty much guarantee they're just going to win throughout the night. But it's really between Bombshell and Joker. Everyone talked about the makeup in Bombshell for some reason. But the problem with Bombshell is it has lost any and all heat that was behind it. Any momentum it had is pretty much gone. So since Joker is one of the more talked about movies, and if you think of one of the, regardless of if you think that Joker makeup's good or not, if we're talking about what is the most talked about makeup job of the year, it's Joker. And I think people will go, Bombshell, yeah, she doesn't look like Charlize Theron, but she still sort of does. But everyone knows that makeup, like it's on protests, it's everything. So I think that will help it. People remember that makeup. In 1917, I guess I remember the makeup. I don't know, but I don't think that'll win. I think it's going to be Joker right there. So Best Documentary Feature. So this is an interesting category. The ones that are nominated is American Factory, The Cave, The Edge of Democracy, for Sama, I think, and Honeyland. Honeyland made history, I believe, being the only film ever nominated for Best Documentary and Best International Feature, since it's not Best Foreign Film anymore, and or Foreign Language Film, making it a little more of a favorite in this category because there's no way it's winning Best International Feature. I think that helps it. That probably makes it the second biggest one. The other one is, to be honest, going to be... And you know what? William Ellman brings up a good point. I should have mentioned the Suicide Squad thing with Joker. DC has a legacy when it comes to makeup and hairstyling. But with the Best Documentary Feature, I think it'll be American Factory. Obama liked American Factory. He, whether I'm not being, super Fox News by saying he holds a lot of weight over Hollywood, but as well as American Factory is the documentary that more people are talking about. It's what more people will vote on. It's, again, on Netflix. It's very available. I think Honeyland, because it got that prestigious 2 nominations in 2 categories, I think it's the only one. It's like that and Parasite that got 2 best kind of feature nominations, because Parasite got International and Best Picture. So I think it'll be American Factory, which is on Netflix. I hear it's pretty good. Haven't watched it. I would like to see Honeyland as well. I'm kind of curious. It's apparently about a beekeeper in a foreign country. Don't know much else about it, unfortunately. I wish I had the time to see it, to be honest with you. Best Production Design. I know... Sorry, these are all the lamer categories at first. Best Production Design, we are between The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite. There are a lot of films that could take this that are in here. I don't think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood has any chance of getting that. Thank you, Ransom Film, for the $1 super chat. Cheers to you. I think really Jojo Rabbit has a chance. And I guess 1917. Again, if you see these, I don't think 1917 will win. But if you see these categories and any of them, a chance of it winning, then you see a chance of 1917 winning. It'll just win all the way. But I think most likely it will be Parasite. Parasite has a good story. They literally built that house that all of Parasite takes place in, and once you learn that, you're like, oh shit, yeah, I would vote for Parasite. That's a crazy good house that's so important to the whole film. So I think Parasite is going to win Best Production Design. Now, next one up, Best Cinematography. Best Cinematography is, I think, kind of a foregone conclusion and honestly doesn't need to be talked about, but I'll talk about it anyway. Basically, you have 5 nominees: The Irishman, Joker, The Lighthouse, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think this is really between... Sadly, I don't think The Lighthouse has a chance, although if we're talking about cinematography that made a dent this year, it's The Lighthouse. The Lighthouse 100% made a huge... made a really big... made a really big dent with what it was doing with with Monster Trucks is gonna sweep the Oscars this year. Thank you, Saber. Cheers. I mean, it didn't come out this year, so it isn't eligible. But you know, I think Creech could just come up, grab everyone's Oscar, and leave, much like my infamous pizza party speech. Thank you. Sorry, I feel like I'm being overly official because I'm trying to get all this stuff in. All right, so best cinematography. Okay, sorry. Crazy setting up for this, so I'm a little disheveled. But best cinematography, yeah, I think The Lighthouse should win because The Lighthouse, awesome cinematography, one of the ones you remember most if you saw The Lighthouse. It just made such impression. But I really think it's 1917. This would be Roger Deakins' second Oscar. He used to just get nominated over and over and over again and never win. But he's Roger Deakins. He still did an amazing job. The whole thing is that it's this one-shot thing that usually wins Best Cinematography. I could see possibly Joker or Irishman, but to be honest, none of them, even Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, make a strong case for themselves. And it's hard to win Best Cinematography when you're not nominated for anything else, which is The Lighthouse's problem. The Lighthouse is just happy to be there. But let's be honest, it's Roger Deakins for 1917. So, best... I'll just do the sound categories really quick. I'm sorry. I feel bad that these are the boring ones. But this, you know, you gotta do them... I gotta do them all, you know. I also, by the way... One thing I should add about doing Oscar predictions, a lot of people are like, I'm so right all the time, and I definitely have a history of being right with the Oscars. I will tell you that right now. But here's the thing. I actually really like being wrong, because then it's fun to watch when I'm wrong about the Oscars. It sucks when I watch and I'm right, because I'm like, oh, I knew what was going to happen. That's terrible. So I really hope I'm wrong. If I'm 100% wrong, that would be wonderful. But I'm just telling you what I think based on watching the show that I know. I know that's like doesn't give a lot of faith, but whatever. So best sound editing and best sound mixing, which are separate categories. And they always talk about combining them, and then they don't. Best sound mixing, I think these will go to separate categories, although a lot of people are going to say they're just both going to go to 1917, if you're noticing a trend here. But best sound editing and best sound mixing, I think best sound mixing will be Ford v Ferrari. If you saw that film, all the shots of everything with the cars was amazing and thrilling, and the sounds were like just thrilling and would get you caught up into it and everything like that. But it's more about the mixing in that case. With sound editing, I would say I would go to 1917. Now, some people have done the opposite, whichever, but I think I don't think 1917 is going to get both. If they get both, 1917 is just going to win all the way, although it's not nominated in acting categories, which I think will ultimately hurt it. Best, what is this year, the only time this has happened so far, best international feature. And thank you, Saber, for being here and for the super chat. And Monster Trucks is eternal. Best international feature. Now, one thing I want to say about world cinema or international cinema. First off, it's not a genre. It's not a category. It's just a bunch of movies that are not made in English and from Hollywood. That's pretty much what it is. People teach classes on it. People act like it's a genre. Like, I'm an expert in foreign film. I'm like, so What does that mean? It means nothing. I don't know why people do that. It should just be like, I see all sorts of movies, and that's it. I don't like that distinction. And there's all sorts of things I wish we got more of the big movies from these countries, because we often just get the art house stuff and think like France is really smart, and then you get here and the whole movie, you know, their biggest movie of the year is about a bunch of farts and all that stuff, which is pretty true. So I wish international cinema was different, but we are where we are. However, the other thing is world cinema has taken over the Oscars in a big way since they invited more people into voting, and world cinema has kind of taken over the Oscars in a big way. And as much as everyone wants the narrative of the current Oscars to be, you know, that there's not enough representation and not enough women are nominated, and I totally agree with that, the real narrative I think that we're forgetting is how world cinema has broken into the best director category, both last year with Cold War and this year very much with Parasite, and how more films in best international feature, which is what it's called now, have broken out. 3 of the films nominated, I never seen that before. Parasite, Pain and Glory, and Honeyland are all nominated in separate categories. That never happens. Kind of the odds are thing, if you got nominated outside of your category, you would win. And Oscar people were not sure. Last year, because they had Roma and Cold War, everyone thought Cold War might win Best International and Roma would win Best Picture. That wasn't the case. This year might be different, and I'll get more into that with a later category. But basically, there's 5 nominations. Corpus Christi, which is Polish, Honeyland, which is Turkish and Macedonian. Definitely did not say that right. Les Miserables, which is how you say that, don't question me, is from France. Pain and Glory, which is from Pedro Almodovar in Spain, which I really want to see and haven't gotten to, and Parasite from South Korea. This is pretty much Parasites. To me, if you get a Best Picture nomination and you're a foreign film, you pretty much win. There's no competition. I don't think that's ever not happened. I don't think so. I think that's going to win. Pain and Glory has a shot. Honeyland, sort of. But basically, yeah, that category is interesting. But the international cinema is that's what to watch in the next couple years for the Oscars. That's the kind of cinema that's really hitting the Oscars in ways that people aren't expecting. It's really interesting. I wish people would talk about it more, because it's kind of the interesting. Not that the Oscars shouldn't be criticized. I think they should, but I'm saying just because that's sort of the only good part of the Oscars currently. Sorry, I'm talking fast. All right, Best Film Editing. So, one thing you'll notice about this category, and I'll read it off, Ford v. Ferrari, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, and Parasite. You'll notice 1917 is not nominated in this, mostly because people felt there wasn't a lot of editing in it, so why should they nominate it? I think editing is more about how you use it and less about how you use it and less about how much you do it. Before I get more to that, Ransom Film says Roger Deakins, Bill Pope, and Emmanuel Lubezki, who is Mexican like me, or like him, not me, I'm not Mexican, are the best, aka my favorite DPs working today. I would agree with that, Ransom Film. Bill Pope is amazing. Those are all amazing DPs. They're all great. They all do great work, and they each inspire me in their own separate ways. Cheers to you. Thank you for the super chat. So Best Film Editing, 1917 was not nominated, which kind of hurts it because it's hard to win Best Picture without being nominated for Best Film Editing. That is a thing. And of those categories, I think it's really Jojo Rabbit, maybe, Joker, maybe. It's all a bunch of maybes, but I think Parasite, because of how well that was cut together and how thrilling and how tense that was, I think Parasite's going to win it. There's not really a film in here that makes you go, oh yeah, that's going to win, because the production was crazy like Bohemian Rhapsody was last year, and they gave it to the guy for getting it to sort of work, I guess. There's nothing like that for film editing this year, so I just think Parasite's going to win it. And note on that later in the show. So Best Supporting Actor. Best Supporting Actor. Where are we? Okay. Best Supporting Actor is an interesting category because it's all people who have Oscars before. Those being Tom Hanks for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Anthony Hopkins for The Two Popes, Al Pacino in The Irishman, Joe Pesci in The Irishman, and Brad Pitt for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The difference between Brad Pitt and everybody else in here is Brad Pitt's Oscar is for Best Picture. He won for 12 Years a Slave. He didn't go up on the stage, most likely because that probably wasn't the greatest demographics or so forth. So he didn't want to deal with that. So he didn't. But I think Brad Pitt will win, it's kind of a foregone conclusion. It's an easy category. This is the first time Tom Hanks has been nominated in a lot of years, which is unfortunate because I think he's been doing good work, since he was nominated for Castaway, which is the last time he was nominated. So that's unfortunate, but no one's really been hitting the circuit as much. No one's been as big of a name as him, and I think a lot of people want him to win. So Brad Pitt will win for best supporting actor. That's just going to happen. All right, so best visual effects. This is sort of a shit category this year. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It's not great. But especially because I think who has chances of winning. So the nominees are Avengers Endgame and its lone nomination, The Irishman, The Lion King, believe it or not, 1917, and Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. So what is really going to happen with 1917? Fuck. What's really... Okay, well, I think 1917 is going to win. I screwed that up. But what's going to happen with Best Visual Effects is I think 1917 will win. I think Irishman got the most publicity, but if we're being real, those special effects sort of sucked and were weird. Same with The Lion King. I think both have chances at winning. Star Wars is just happy to be there. I don't see them giving it to Avengers Endgame, although I think that would be a good idea, but they're not. So they're going to give it to 1917 because that film is kind of a technical feat. They had, a lot of crazy things happen in that film, and I just think 1917, it's just a foregone conclusion with that one. But I don't know. Irishman, I hope Irishman and Lion King don't win, but I think if it's either 1917 or one of those two, and that would suck. Like, we don't want 1917 winning for... Ugh. I mean, we don't want Lion King and we don't want Lion King or Irishman winning. That sounds horrible. Like, does anyone really want that? I don't think so. All right, so best original screenplay. Here are the nominees: Knives Out, Marriage Story, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite. Earlier, I would have said I think it's going to be Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I used to think that. But actually, now that I'm talking about it, fuck it. It's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I thought Parasite could win it, but I kind of think they're going to want to give Tarantino something. But I really am between these two. It's between Bong Joon-ho and Han Jun-won and Quentin Tarantino. But I kind of think people are going to go for him for screenplay just because Hollywood likes that movie so much. And I don't think it's going to win in a lot of other categories. And I just think it's... and I think people love Tarantino's dialogue and a lot of stuff in it, so I think it's just sort of a foregone conclusion. So it'll probably be once. Yeah, let's see. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think will win that. Best adapted. So we have The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, and The Two Popes. So here's the thing about adapted screenplay. I think this is really between... I think it's between three. I don't think Irishman or Two Popes have a chance. I like this thing Marley says. The best actor winner is called. As the winner approaches the stage, Adam Sandler falls from the ceiling dressed as Jill from Jack and Dale. Takes the award from the winner. I really hope that happens. That would be better than what's going to happen. Well, I'll get to that. So best adapted screenplay. I think Joker has a chance, but if we're being real, that screenplay's not great. And I think it's really between Jojo Rabbit, which just won at the WGA, and Little Women, because that is, and like if you talk about Little Women, it's about the adaptation. Let's be real. It's about how that's a different adaptation of that story. So I think with Little Women, it has a chance, and they can give Greta Gerwig an Oscar, and they can look less horrible. But if we're being real about the Oscars, I think they're going to go with Jojo Rabbit. They want to give Jojo Rabbit something, and I think it's just going to happen. So, and it won the WGA, and just all the Oscar prognostication thingies are going to do it. So I just think it's going to happen. So yeah, best original score. Going on to that. Best original score. We have Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, and Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. John Williams, I believe, broke his own record for being the most nominated person ever in the history of Oscars. But I think this is really between two people. That would be or two movies. That would be Joker with Hildur Gerbers, Icelandic person, and 1917 with Thomas Newman. Thomas Newman, despite doing a lot of film scores, has never won. That works to his advantage. They haven't really been selling that enough. I haven't heard enough talk about that, and I think Joker will win that, just because the score is dark and people seem to like. I don't know why people like that score. I don't like any of these scores. Like, why? Like, where is Uncut Gems? Uncut Gems to me was a good score. Like, there's like, we have all these interesting different scores, and we always nominate like this crap. Like, I don't get it. Whatever. It's just gonna be Joker. It's like boring. I don't care. It's like, why do you always do this to me? I don't. Whatever. Anyway, so best original song. Best original song is kind of weird this year because there's not a big hit that I can see really doing it, to be honest with you. But yeah, there's not like a big movie song that like when Coco was nominated, or like when Frozen Let It Go was nominated, something like that. There's nothing that's really changing or anything like it. There's nothing changing this year or anything. But before I get into listing off, Saber wants to know what I think some of the biggest snubs this time around. What Marley's saying right now, I think Adam Sandler and Uncut Gems, it bothers me more and more every day. Jennifer Lopez for Hustlers, to me, like that, I can't believe that wasn't nominated. That was one of the best movie star acting turns of the year, and I really love Hustlers. I think it's one of the best movies of the year. I think Primal should have gotten a Best Animated Feature nomination. I think Endgame, I would have put it in Best Picture just because of what it accomplished for the Hollywood machine. I think that's... I would have put... I don't know. The Farewell should have been in there. There's probably some more. Cats. I can't think of everything that's on my like best of the year list and stuff like that, so I'd probably come up with some more. But off the top of my head, Uncut Gems is always the first one I think of. Whoa. For that. Also, High Flying Bird was one no one's talking about. I put a review out of it recently. I would have put that for best screenplay. I thought that was a really great movie. It's on Netflix. Everyone should check that out. I put High Flying Bird. That's like one no one's talking about. That should have been up there. Anyway, so in Best Original Song, we have I Can't Let You Throw Yourself Away from Toy Story 4, I'm Gonna Love Me Again from Rocket Man, I'm Standing With You from Breakthrough, about a kid who breaks through the ice, that's a real thing, Into the Unknown from Frozen 2, and Stand Up from Harriet. The notable thing about this category is Cynthia Erivo is nominated for Best Actress and Best Original Song for Songwriting. I think it's like the third time that's happened. The second recently, as Mary J. Blige did that with supporting and original song. Now Cynthia Erivo has done that with original song and best actress. That could help this. There's not like a true, like I was saying, there's not a true like far and away winner in this. Like that everyone's like that has to win, unfortunately, which kind of hurts best original song as a category. But I think it's going to be Rocket Man with I'm Gonna Love Me Again, because Rocket Man was a good movie. It played a lot to a lot of the Academy stuff. I think Frozen 2, it seems like the Academy and adults in general do not like Frozen 2. It is like not really a favorite for anyone. So I just don't see that doing super great there. So I think it's going to be Elton John. I think it's his second Oscar. He won for Lion King. I just don't see anyone else really taking that, to be honest with you. So I think Best Original Song will be Elton John from that song that, to be honest, I saw Rocket Man. I don't remember that song, man. I do not remember that song. So, oh well. Alright, we're getting towards the end here, and then I'll do questions after I finish this thing for a little bit. Since I'm running late, yeah, I wanted to go a little longer, but anyway. So, but I have to pick up my daughter from daycare, so running out of time there, unfortunately, with streaming nonsense that didn't work out. So, Best Actor. This is one of the bigger ones, and it's pretty obvious who's going to win, but I'll read them off and talk about it a little bit before I say who I think will win. Antonio Banderas for Pain and Glory, Leonardo DiCaprio for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Adam Driver for Marriage Story, Joaquin Phoenix for Joker, and Jonathan Pryce for The Two Popes. So it's pretty much Joaquin's to lose, and I don't think he's going to lose. the thing that's working for Joaquin, other than that people really like Joker and that it was selling him as an actor, and is also that he's a great actor. He's been nominated for Best Actor a lot of times. He's done great performances all throughout the 2010s, from The Master to Her, to what was it? The Lynn Ramsey movie, which I'm going to click on a thing and it'll tell me You Were Never Really Here, which is on Amazon Prime. You should check out. He's done a lot of great performances, and people who vote on the Oscars know that, and they want to just be like, we gave Joaquin a Best Actor Oscar. This is his big performance year. The only thing I see taking it is Adam Driver, but I don't think this is. I think most people agree this is not the Adam Driver performance. They think he's going to do a better one at some point. I could see him taking it, but Marriage Story has been kind of muted around the campaign trail, so I don't think it's going to happen, frankly. So, Best Actress. We come down to... this one's pretty much a given, but, you know, I'll read them off anyway. Cynthia Erivo for Harriet, Scarlett Johansson for Marriage Story, Saoirse Ronan for Little Women, Charlize Theron for Bombshell, and Renee Zellweger for Judy. This is such a foregone conclusion for Renee Zellweger that I literally forgot who else was nominated, and that's not me saying a joke, like joking or anything. Like, to me, just Renee Zellweger's won year after year after year. She's previously won Best Supporting Actress for Cold Mountain, but I think this is the year they're really just going to give her Best Actress. No one's really been competing with her. Bombshell had a bit of a chance, sort of, but that's like so not happening at all at this point. So it's going to be Renee Zellweger. It's an obvious thing. The acting categories are super boring this year. It's just like we all know at this point, if you've been following it, who's going to win. It's like super uninteresting. So, the Best Director and Best Picture are kind of the two that no one is sure what's going to happen. I will tell you what's going to happen, what I think. Again, I like to be wrong. But before we get that, from William Ellman, I predict the Best Picture winner will be something lame, either Marriage Story or Little Women. Well, I like Little Women, but anyway, cheers to you, and thank you for the super chat, William Ellman. So, Best Director. Best Picture's got to be last, you know. Best Director, we have Martin Scorsese for The Irishman, Todd Phillips for The Hangover 3, Sam Mendes for 1917, Quentin Tarantino for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Bong Joon-ho for Parasite. This is categories really between two people, Sam Mendes and Bong Joon-ho. I think Tarantino really wanted to win, but I hate to break it to him, it's not happening. It's not happening for him. You know, I think he wanted it. I think a lot of people, if you asked me, you know, before the nominations came out, I thought maybe. But Sam Mendes in 1917 have been that late campaigning, late in the year movie that really surges. And if you think of that movie, you think about its direction. This would be his second Best Director Oscar, which is ridiculous. But I think the real thing is most people think Best Director and Best Picture are going to be split. And I think it will either go to Bong Joon-ho or Sam Mendes, and whoever wins Best Director has the potential of not winning Best Picture. And I really think Sam Mendes will win Best Picture, because if you look at what happened with Aritu, he won for his like one-shot thing with Birdman, and then again for The Revenant, and they like the technical, or Karan, who's won for technical feats. It just makes sense with the current Oscar voting base, so it's going to happen. So I think you could probably figure out what I think will win Best Picture, but let's go through it anyway. Best Picture: Ford v Ferrari, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite. So, what is this down to? I think let's go over that first. It's down to a lot of movies are in play here. Jojo Rabbit, Irishman, Little Women, Marriage Story, just not going to happen. Or did I say Jojo Rabbit? Irishman, Ford v Ferrari, Little Women, Marriage Story are not going to happen. I'd say Joker and Jojo Rabbit have a chance. The thing to put into mind with Best Picture is the preferential voting ballot. So the thing that wins is not necessarily the best movie or what they think is the best movie. It's the movie that most people can agree on that is good. So it's not what people have the most passion for. It's basically what most people agree is like a really good movie. So that kind of takes out, like, Joker's a little too controversial. I think Jojo Rabbit is too, but I've had people saying, well, Jojo Rabbit could get up there, but I don't think so. It's really between, I think I said, I don't know, there's so many of these. There's 9. Really between 1917, Parasite, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So when we get to that, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I feel like it's hovering close to the top in a lot of categories, but won't really win. I think it has a chance, but I don't think it will. I really think this is going to be Parasite's year. And this will be a huge year for the Oscars, as one, no foreign language film has ever won Best Picture, and 2, this will be the second time a film has won Palme d'Or and Best Picture. The previous is Marty. If you haven't seen Marty, go out and do that, guys. Like, seriously, it's a great movie. It's just about like a butcher who lives at home with his mom and falls in love with a girl who nobody thinks is attractive, but he loves. You wouldn't think that would be the film. That's the only film currently, as I'm talking about the predictions, it's won Best Picture in the Palme d'Or at Cannes, but it is really fucking good. Seriously, go check out Marty. In fact, don't see any of these. These are not as good. None of these movies are as good as Marty anyways. Just see Marty. But the point is I think it's going to be Parasite. I think the Oscars want to send a message. I think they're embarrassed of Green Book, and I think they want to change things, and this is the narrative that, their narrative of including people hasn't really worked out, obviously. So why don't they show like, hey, we're not totally racist. We see movies in foreign languages sometimes, and they can pretend that with this one. And I think that's what they're going to do. And pieces coming out saying like, Parasite is too good for Best Picture. That's the kind of stuff they want. They want their Moonlight year, where everyone's like, hey, remember when we gave something that we all really liked? That's I think what is going to happen. So I'm predicting Parasite. I think if I was going to do a second place, what I think could make it, I think 1917 has a chance as well. But anyway, those are my predictions. I don't know if I'm right. I'm probably wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I am going to do a reaction to the Oscars. I was going to wear a tux. It's going to be streaming. I do not know what time it's going to be. I'm hoping for 4 o'clock that Monday. Check my YouTube community feed and my Twitter, and I will, when I have that solidified, I will let you know. But I will be, of course, tweeting and stuff on Sunday night, and yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting show. I hope. We'll see. But I'm curious what the ratings are going to be, because how many of these films have made over 100 million? Like, a lot. It's like Ford v Ferrari did, Joker did, Little Women did really well, 1917 at over $100 million. Yeah, it's like, that's a lot. So there's enough hits that we might see this do well and not, but I think Endgame should have been there. So if anyone has any questions, I'll stick around for a little bit. I'm sorry for the late thing. I had a lot of stream issues getting it started, and it sort of sucked. So apologies for that. I will hopefully talk about fix that for next time. So apologies on that end. Question: Was this the Dark Souls Oscar nominations? What does that mean? I don't understand what that means. What does that mean, Austin? Do you know what that means? With Dark Souls, like is that a thing? I'll look it up what you're saying, because I'm not sure. Nominations, not sure. Anyway, if anyone else has any questions. Oh, it's a video game? Well, I don't think, yeah, I don't know. Alright, fun fact, Katie Sowers, assistant coach of the 49ers, is the first female and first openly gay coach to coach in a Super Bowl. I didn't know that. That's cool. Good for her. Question, do you have any games do you do any games while watching the Oscars, like bingo or drinking games or prediction sheet? I have had a prediction sheet before, but most of the people who normally watch the Oscars are sort of not watching out of protest, so I think I'm watching it by myself. It's usually just like I make jokes, and then a couple people have seen that I test out material to that I use on Twitter. So it's basically like me on Twitter, me making jokes. I always wear a tux. We have snacks, but we do try to go like, and we usually do a winner of who predicted it the best, which I don't always win. I think I won one year or something. Anyway. Dark Souls is a hard video game. Okay, that's cool. Sorry, Zane, it's cool. I get it. Question, what will win Worst Picture? We'll see. The Razzie nominations come out on Saturday, I think. I'll probably get to talk about them on the next official movie crap. What is the most ridiculous film to ever win an Oscar for Best Picture? I would actually probably say Green Book, but I'd also say, what was the greatest show ever told? The circus one in the 50s. I would say that's the second place, but Green Book would be kind of up there for me. I would say, yeah, there hasn't been too many I've been that upset about as much as that one. I would say the year that Do the Right Thing came out, Driving Miss Daisy won Best Picture. That's pretty ridiculous. I would say that would be the most ridiculous. Don't blame Zane Powers. Thank you, Zane, I guess. Anyway, question, is there a host for Oscars? I haven't heard who it is. There is not. This is a hostless Oscar year, which is much better. I think those go over much better than when they usually have a host. It seems to flow better, to be honest. I don't know if they'll ever have a host again. We'll see. Jordan Cephalo, will Creech be presenting at the Oscars this year? Sadly, no, but we'll see. Maybe he'll break out into there. Ryan Walterson, thoughts on the just announced Hamilton movie Disney's releasing? It's going to be the stage show, but in theaters. I will talk about that on Movie Crap later, like on Saturday, but what I find odd about that is they announced it, and that sounds like something you'd announce for this year, 2020, but it is announced, and it comes out in October 2021. I knew they filmed it a while ago, and no one knew what was going to happen, like when it was going to be released, and I kind of wondered what happened to it. It's strange, like, it's probably, like, finished, and I don't know why they, like, are waiting. I don't know, whatever. It sounds cool, it's just, like, I don't know why we have to wait, like, so long to see it, but that's their choice, I guess. Why are the Oscars important? To be honest with you, Jordan, it's basically because it's the movie industry's way of like drumming up interest in smaller movies, and trades and stuff can basically get some attention and people can give them more views and stuff. That's why the Oscars are important. Are they important in terms of cinema? Not really. I mean, they kind of give you a snapshot of the year, but in essence, they're not important. So they're not. Austin, thank you for saying you like my Twitter jokes. Crash is embarrassing too. I don't know. Crash is like, yeah, Crash is pretty embarrassing. Guess I should have thought of that. Are the Oscars just a glorified trade show? Yeah, pretty much, William Ellman. Yes. Nathaniel Fogel, do you think Doolittle has a chance of winning next year? I hope not, but the judge did get an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actress, so you never know. Question, thought on the Marvel show trailers. The show's or the Disney Plus. I know what you're talking about, Austin. It looked cool. The Loki thing we really didn't see much of. I think that got the short end of the stick. But it kind of showed you what Disney is really going to be relying on. The franchise they rely on the most is Marvel. It's because it's such a well-oiled machine. The WandaVision, I think, got the most attention from people online. But I was into Falcon and the Winter Soldier a lot. Those two really stuck out to me, and I think they look really cool. Loki, it was just like, isn't Tom Hiddleston charismatic? And I was like, yeah, he is. I don't. It didn't really say much more than that to me. So, anyway. Okay. Let's do T. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, but T. Hey, McKnight, I guess. Was there a voiceover performance in a movie you thought was snubbed for best performance at the Oscars? That is a good question. I would say actually from Klaus J.K. Simmons and Jason Schwartzman, I thought were really great. I also liked, Tom Hanks in Toy Story. I liked whoever played Bo Peep. I thought there were a lot of good performances. I'd probably put those two. I wish there was more of questions like that. I know Owen Wilson's going to be in Loki, but we don't really, I'm curious what that role is. It'd be interesting. And finally, do you enjoy watching, what do you think the worst movie of the year is? I have a video about that, so you gotta wait. I really want Creech to be in a Keanu Reeves movie, maybe John Wick 4, Matrix 4, or do air guitars, Bill and Ted. I think you would work better in Bill and Ted. Nathaniel Fogo, do you enjoy watching the Super Bowl mainly just to watch for the neat ads? I didn't really watch Super Bowl. I watched all the ads I wanted to watch later, and I did like the Bill Murray one. Anyway. All right, and I agree. Jason Schwartzman is underrated. All right, so I'm sorry for the delay. I think I'm going to go. I will let you know about my Oscar reactions. Sorry for all the nonsense with this stream again. But I want to thank you all for being here and coming out and watching this video. I really appreciate it. We will be back on Saturday at 10:30, I believe. Check all my stuff for an update on that. for Movie Crap Live, and then there'll be the Oscar reactions, I believe, at some point on Monday. I'll let you know the time of that. Thank you all very much for being here. I hope you guys enjoyed my Oscar predictions. I hope maybe I was sort of right. I don't know. And yeah. Anyway, you guys have a good night. Have a good day. And subscribe if you would like to. Have a happy Oscars, guy. Have a happy Oscars, guys. Have a good